Experts speak on interpersonal violence. Interpersonal violence can be described from a personal point of view as harmful acts that are committed towards an individual. Being able to study the behaviors of humans and the way they think will give some insight into why people resort to certain actions and how they can be helped. Approximately 46% of women and 42% of men reported one or more types of interpersonal violence. Women were more likely to experience kidnapping, physical assault by an intimate partner, rape, sexual assault, and stalking, whereas men were more likely to experience mugging or physical assault by someone other than parents or an intimate partner. It has been identified that interpersonal violence was associated with risk for many mental disorders and attempted suicide. Although women were at higher risk for several forms of interpersonal violence, the impact of interpersonal violence on mental health outcomes did not vary by gender. Professor Stark is an associate professor of public administration, director of the Masters in Public Health program at Rutgers University, and also the director of the Division of Urban Health Administration at the UMDNJ School of Public Health. His specialized area is in health and medical care, family and community violence, political theory, the urban environment, social service and nonprofit management, criminal justice, and policy issues dealing with racial and gender issues. Professor Paul Boxer is a clinical psychologist whose research is on atypical and at-risk populations. His primary interest is in aggression, conflict, peace, applied social psychology, health psychology, social cognition, and research methods and assessment. Professor Stark was the founder of one of the USA's first shelters for abused women in the 1980s. He developed international reputation as an author and researcher into the legal, policy, and health dimensions of interpersonal violence. Professor Stark is a forensic social worker and award-winning researcher with an international reputation for his work on the health, legal, and policy dimensions of interpersonal violence. Drawing on court records, interviews, and FBI statistics, Stark details coercive strategies that men use to deny women their very personhood, from beeper games to food logs to micromanaging dress, speech, sexual activity, and work. In regards to the legal aspects of interpersonal violence, it has been noted that the rule of law maxim must mean that the state is obligated to protect the civil and human rights of abused survivors, and this requires criminalizing the full scope of the WT conduct. Paul Boxer studies violent and non-violent antisocial behavior with an emphasis on socialization mechanism, which accounts for the development and expression of antisocial behavior over time and across situations. Boxer focuses his research on atypical and at-risk populations, including juvenile delinquents and adult criminals, adolescents in psychiatric and outpatient clinical treatment, and individuals living in socioeconomically disadvantaged communities. Boxer's work includes projects funded by the National Institute of Mental Health, the Centers for Disease Control, and the National Institute for Child Health and Human Development. Paul Boxer focuses on design, implementation, and evaluation of preventative programs for youth aggression and how social development and clinical science can be integrated to improve services for children and adolescents. School multiculturalism is an important protective factor against youth violence by facilitating positive peer relationships and community engagement among youth. Greater institutional support for school multiculturalism through implementation of tolerance, curriculum, and activities could in turn facilitate favorable youth outcomes. Professor Stark focuses on treatment of women in violent relationships and urges us to move beyond the injury model and focuses on the real victimization that allows men to violate women's human rights with impunity, provides insight to the use of micromanaging within relationships, and also address the issues surrounding domestic violence laws. Professor Boxer focuses on the violent and non-violent behaviors at-risk populations such as juvenile delinquents and adults, and focuses on addressing issues surrounding violence in the media, family, and peer groups. Overall, both Professor Stark and Professor Boxer aim to shed light on the issues surrounding interpersonal violence and how it can impact each victim. Thank you.